Round one of the Tour Championship in the books. The thrilling conclusion coming your way this Saturday and Sunday on CBS as we take a look at that leaderboard. Following a sterling 61, Collin Morikawa with his round of the season, vaulting himself to the top of the leaderboard alongside Keegan Bradley and last week's winner in Viktor Hovland. Scottie Scheffler with the tiered start did begin in pole position at 10 under, but a costly triple bogey en route to a 1 over 71 moved Scheffler to 9 under, one back of the lead of that trio. Plenty can change in the span of 7 hours. CBS senior golf writer Kyle Porter here to offer his insight on it all. KP, let's start with the low man of the day, low round of the day, low round of the career on tour for Collin Morikawa, whose financial outlets, they really look different than they did on Thursday morning. This is a young man, feeds off of winning, and in that respect maybe comes into this Tour Championship hungry. What stood out to you most about this 61 here on Thursday?
Well, the ball striking was so good, and he was talking about how he found something on Tuesday this week. Came into the week, and he kind of said, like, I probably overworked early in the week, but I did find something. He wouldn't disclose what he found, which is a very professional golf move of him. But he also talked, Joe, about what you just said, which was about winning. And this, as much as his ball striking stood out in his round, you'll see some incredible shots here. He led the field in approach shots. This one, I believe, was to about 3 or 4 feet on the par 5 sixth hole. Pretty easy to score when you're hitting it to 3 or 4 feet on par 5s. But he talked about winning, Joe, and his numbers, I think, contrary to maybe popular belief, have been really good this year. If you look at his tee to green play, if you look at his overall strokes gained, he's had a very good year, maybe even the best of his career. But he said, yeah, my numbers are good, and that means I'm working on the right things, but winning is a skill, and I haven't been, you didn't say these words, but essentially I haven't been displaying that skill recently. And so I think he's very intent on, okay, I still have that skill in me. I've obviously displayed it in the past. I've won 2 majors. I've won 6 times worldwide. How can I get it out of myself this weekend? So I'm really interested to see what Collin Morikawa does to back up that 61 over the next 3 days.
Yeah, it'll be hard to replicate that performance, but squarely in the mix now following the round of the day by some 2 strokes. Not giving up any of the secret sauce here because heaven forbid Kyle Porter go out there with a new swing thought and shoot 61. Who knows? KP, last year it took Scottie Scheffler 54 holes plus to concede that pole position. Happens far sooner this go-around thanks to his first triple bogey of the year. For the numerical best in the world, it sure looks less than comfortable at times. Only 1 off it, but the lead was 5 at one point here on Thursday. Is this fatigue? Is this form? And maybe is the role of chaser better suited for Scottie at this point in the season?
Yeah, I thought it was 2 things, Joe. I think there's some fatigue setting in. I mean, he's talked about this. He said last week, like, man, I'm looking forward to the end of the Tour Championship. It's fun to play and to play for a ton of money and to play in the playoffs, but it's a grind, especially when you're number 1 in the world. So I think it's some of that, but it's a one swing day for Scottie. And what I mean by that, you'll see a 6 on the card here on 15. He pulled a shot into the water on 15, long par 3, really difficult approach shot. He hit one of his worst of the day. And if he doesn't do that, Joe, it's probably a 3 there. It's probably a 68. He finished last in the field. Here's that shot right there. Finished last in the field in putting. He finished 12th in the field from tee to green. If he doesn't hit this shot right here, he's probably in the top 5. So it's kind of just a middle of the road Scottie day other than this one shot right there. So I'm not super concerned about it. I am concerned about that right there, the putting, but I'm not super concerned overall. Even about his position or about how he played on Thursday. There's plenty of time to bounce back. I think that mentally he just has to figure out how to keep himself fresh over the next 3 days to make it to the end of 72 holes, whereas we've seen all year, it's very tough to beat Scottie Scheffler over the course of 72 holes.
Yeah, maybe in an odd way it frees him up here for these final 54 of the Tour Championship. Notably, back to the blade putter away from that prototype mallet he did have in the bag. So more change, but more issues that stay the same there with the flat stick. The Rory contingent, KP, began the day holding our collective breaths and maybe our lower backs as well. Hurt, not injured, so football season's here. Rory playing through back issues, KP, to an even par 70, ends the day where he began, 3 off that lead. I know you spent some time with Rory earlier this week, KP. Can you shed any further light on that back and how it could affect him here in the days to come?
Yeah, it didn't seem like it didn't really seem like a thing until today, really, and I don't think it's not a massive career-altering, career-changing type thing. I think he talked about this after his round. He said, "Listen, like this just happens over the course of a season, of a year. It gets worn down." He mentioned his rib. The McRib might be back. But all things considered, Joe, I thought the 70 on Thursday was not really that bad. He's still at 7 under where he started the day. He's still 3 back where he started the day. It could have, given his condition and kind of where things looked at the beginning of the round, it seemed like it could have been a lot worse. So it will have to get better over the next couple of days for him to have a chance to go out and win this golf tournament. But if I'm him, I'm actually kind of encouraged by at least my position on the board after 18 holes.
Yeah, certainly. The driver looked a little more bunty than the full-fledged, all-out Rory ball that we like to see. But he was able to score to a certain extent there, put himself in a tough situation at the 18th, but still, as we said, exactly where he started the day. Back at the top of the leaderboard, Morikawa sharing that line with Keegan Bradley and Viktor Hovland. Coming off that Sunday 61 in Chicago, Vic carding 16 pars and a pair of birdies here. Interesting, just the methodical nature of Hovland's opening round, patience that might pay off at the end of the week. What'd you make of this measured approach here to open up for Hovland?
Yeah, I thought it was around that Scotty Scheffler should have shot, right? Because it's 68 without really doing much. Victor was 29th in the field in putting. Him and Scotty, by the way, if you want to go, learn from professionals out at Eastlake, don't watch them putt on Thursday. I think they're actually pretty good putters. They are good putters overall. Thursday was not a day for it, but he still gets 68 out of it, right? Rick and I just talked about this. Rick Gaiman and I talked about this on the First Cut podcast. This is why great ball strikers score best, win a lot of tournaments, because even when they're not putting, you can go out and shoot 68. He just ball struck the golf course, into submission. And that to me is really impressive. And it really, I think, foreshadows, if not winning this week, at least coming pretty close. Victor is the guy that I'm really keeping my eye on. I think it's honestly, Joe, I think either he or Scotty Scheffler is going to win this golf tournament. And when you can go out and shoot 68 and not make anything, he made everything last week in the final round. Shoots 28 on the back, made everything he looked at. You're going to regress. That's just going to happen. That's how professional golf works. And he did so on Thursday, but he still got a 68 out of it, which when you're 8 under to start the round is plenty to kind of stay right where you need to be going into round 2.
Yeah, Viktor Hovland, perhaps the king of that one without one team, and he'd like to at least add a tour championship here to round out the season. KP, I know Rory was the pick late Sunday night as we came out of Chicago here and headed to Atlanta. You staying on the pick after 18 holes, or is the balky back? I'll open the door for you here to move elsewhere.
Yeah, I actually think I'm going to go with Scotty, and that sounds weird after 71 with 3 bogeys and a triple on the card. I would stay with Rory. I just don't know what you're getting out of the back over the next 3 days. And, the numbers with Scotty, the math just works in his favor, Joe. I looked back over the course of, since January 1 of 2023, there's only been 12 instances across 18 tournaments where a player has beat him by 7 or more strokes. Almost everybody in this field, other than Hovland or Rory, like you think about the guys that are at the top, Morikawa trailed him by 9 coming in. Keegan Bradley trailed him by 7 coming in. Like these are guys that are going to have to beat Scotty Scheffler by 8, 9, 10 strokes over 72 holes. You're not doing that. Like that's not happening. Even though, I know Scheffler regressed a little bit on Thursday, but I trust that over the course of 72 holes, he's going to kind of self-correct and go on to win this golf tournament.
Fatigue, both mental and physical here, being felt by the field in Atlanta. Kyle Porter breaking it down through 18 holes. KP, we'll talk to you plenty more throughout the week. And don't forget this weekend, coverage coming your way Saturday and Sunday on CBS and streaming on Paramount+. Jim Nantz, Trevor Immelman, our award-winning team taking you through the finish line at the Tour Championship. We'll have post-round highlights and analysis right here on CBS Sports HQ.